So before we get started, let me remind you to hit that subscribe button and make sure you ring that notification bell to get notification of future content. So let's check out what's in the box. Hey folks, good afternoon. So today we're doing our kind of branching into a whole nother area for the farm. We've done a lot of videos on our egg production, on our laying hens, and we've talked a little bit about kind of moving into hatching out eggs. We've talked a little bit also about moving into our meat birds. So these are our Cornish cross chicks from Freedom Hatchery Nursery. Got 25 of them in this box. So when a new batch of chicks, this is our, I've lost count. When we receive new batches of chicks from the hatchery, newborn chicks have between 48 and 72 hours or 2 to 3 days of sustenance that they have gained from the yolk that was in the egg at the time that they hatched. So these birds here, these are 2-day-old birds. These were hatched out on Monday and shipped from Freedom Ranger Hatchery up in Pennsylvania on Monday. We picked them up from the post office today. So it's really important that to get these, this is a straight run, 25 of them. So to get them going, we've got to introduce them to their water they've never drank before, as well as their feed. So in one of our last videos, we had talked about converting one end of our original chicken coop to the brooder. We basically, to do that, just put in panels on the sides to close up the laying boxes. And then this is a hinged door on the inside that we just open and close depending on whether we want to limit access to the brooder. So we've closed in those, we've closed that door and converted this to the brooder. To convert it to the brooder, we put several pieces of equipment in here just for the chicks. So we start off with the sweeter heater. This is to provide adequate heat for the birds as they're growing out. They can move in and out from underneath this heater at will. They've got lots of space, and we're in Florida, so you know we have plenty of mid-90 degree days this time of the year. So heat isn't really an issue, but sometimes it drops at nighttime. We got to maintain their body temperature up into the high 90s for the first 3 weeks. One of the things when we first started raising chickens is it's really important to regulate their heat. I don't know the exact numbers, I've forgotten, but it's up in the upper 90s, and it's basically you can drop it about a few degrees per week up until the point where they no longer need the heat when they're fully feathered out. Practically, that's not necessary. If you've got a large enough brooder area, they're going to move in and out underneath that heater to maintain the body temperature that they need. So you really don't have to regulate that temperature. You do need to make sure it's not too hot under there. So if you've got a smaller area and a gigantic heater, then they can't sufficiently move in and out from underneath that heater. That's why we have a relatively small heater. This is for up to 25 birds, and they will be able to move in and out from under that heater at will. You can see, kind of looking down in the box, they also cluster together to kind of maintain their heat, their body heat with each other. So in addition to the sweeter heater, we also have over here water. It's a smaller water. This is the 1 gallon size. Anything larger than that will have too big of a pool that the water comes out of. And when you have too big a pool, you're running the risk of drowning your chickens. If they tip over, they're top heavy. If they tip over into the water, they will drown because they can't get back out. The ones that do get out are going to be wet, and then you run the risk of them becoming hypothermic. The other area over there we have is the feeder. Feeders don't really matter. This is a feeder that we use. It's just dumped in from the top. Sometimes we'll hang it. We've just got it sitting in there for right now. I couldn't find the chain. We hang it for the specific purpose of just them being not pooping in it. So until, you know, a couple of weeks, they're going to be able to jump up on that, and then it really doesn't matter. But for the first week or so, they're not going to be a whole lot of jumping. They're going to run around. They'll be able to jump up on the platform and get their food. Another really critical element in making sure you got a good brooder set up. Keep in mind, these chickens were hatched out 2 days ago. These are two-day-old chicks. It's Wednesday. They were hatched out on Monday up in Pennsylvania, got stuck in a box and shipped to us here in Florida. So they don't have a whole lot of life experience, frankly. So we learned from experience. The first bunch that we brooded out, someone said, well, you can use just plain old sawdust. We realized that that was not smart very quickly, because they can't tell the difference between sawdust and what's generally considered to be chick food, which is a really fine crumble. So we use pine shavings versus sawdust. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. So this is the chick crumble. And look at the difference here. So this is their food. Looks a lot like sawdust. And here is the shaving. So we don't have any problems with them eating this. Where if this does look a lot like sawdust, they could eat that, and it's not healthy for them. So that's specifically why we use this. So let's go ahead and get these chicks installed, introduce them to their water source and to their food source, and then kind of watch them grow out. So kind of the plan, we're installing them today. Little Rick's going to be doing a video in the coming weeks with building a chicken tractor. So these birds, as well as another, I think, dozen that should be here next week, they will be in the brooder. In 30 days, this group, the Cornish crosses, will come out and go into a chicken tractor, and then the 12 that are white brisset that are coming next week will then be placed into the main chicken coop and let them grow out for another 90 days, and they will be added to our laying flock for right now. And then we're going to do some selection of the best birds and maintain them for a meat bird breeding program that we're going to start up here. But we're starting as kind of the core with those white brisset birds. So let's get these chicks installed. So pretty straightforward process. They've got their food, they've got their water. So we just take them one by one, dip their head into the water, let them get a drink, and then let them down. Here's the food source. There's the birds. So you can see we're just taking them one by one, dipping them into the water, putting them up to the food source, kind of introduce them to the layout, and you can kind of see they're already starting to explore in here. Eventually they will find their heat source.
You already got him over there getting water.
Yeah. Did he take a drink?
Mm-hmm. That's a feisty little joker right there, ain't
So there you have it. This is our Cornish cross. First foray into raising a group of meat birds. So they will be in here for about 30 days, and they'll go into the brooder, or into the chicken tractor, and from the chicken tractor they'll be in there. Little Rick will be moving them daily on this side field over here, and in about 60 days we'll be processing these birds for the freezer, and then probably start all over probably same time next year. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, make sure to leave plenty of comments, questions, remarks, good and bad, down in the comment section. And Little Rick and I love to respond to those questions and kind of talk about what we're doing here on LaLa Farm. So always remember, treat others as you would like to be treated. Take care. Thanks for visiting the farm.